can't imagine the magnitude of the thing. It's even hard to comprehend now, 70 years later. But I got assigned to this air depot center. That was their primary mission, was the C-47 transports. My primary at that time was preparing for D-Day by maintaining our aircraft and all of that. Also in our field, we had units of the 101st Airborne, parachute regiments. They occupied the other side of the field from where we were stationed. On D-Day, they got them loaded up early in the morning, about 11, 12 o'clock, and then they took off.
My name is Clarence Goldsmith, and I was a first lieutenant on D-Day, 20 years old. It's 2:02 in the morning, and or the best that we can, that was our scheduled time, and I presume it was around 2:02 in the morning. But we exited the plane. The plane came in too fast. Pilots, we felt like they were really not in control. The plane came in much too fast. Much of our equipment was stripped from our body. We maybe had about maybe about 150 pounds of equipment on, because all the stuff had to get on the ground. And what better way than to strap it on a paratrooper? But anyway, we hit the ground, and you have to realize that it was so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And we came down into probably about, probably either heavy company or a small platoon of German soldiers. And they immediately I had maybe about 8 or 9 German rifles in my face. And we had no weapons, of course. I mean, you couldn't have fought anyway. You were theirs. So they spread eagled us on the ground and took the rifle butts and broke both my hands and locked us in a barn. And then 15 minutes later, we could kick ourselves out of that barn, and they were gone. They got away. They left as quickly as they could.
A lot of confusion on D-Day as far as the landing craft were concerned. Everybody was missing their landing mark. They had been swept off course by the currents and everything like that. We were one of the few that hit our beach right on the head and landed at 6:30 in the morning when we were supposed to land. We landed on the western flank of the Verville Draw, and we lost half of our men crossing the beach. At low tide, we had it seemed like 10 miles, but it was about 200 yards of beach we had to cross. So we lost half of our men crossing the beach, and we were on the shelter of the beachhead of the cliff, and our mission was to go up the western flank of the Verville Draw with the 116th Infantry on our left flank. Well, they had run into all these fortifications and everything. It was impossible to get up the beach. In fact, most of their men didn't even get off the beach. And we realized it was impossible to go up the draw, which was our primary first action. So we sent a climbing crew to the west, going towards Pointe du Hoc. And we sent a crew of 4 men down there. Lieutenant Moody and Jack Stevens were 2 of the guys. And they hand climbed the cliff with their bayonets and trench knives. And they took 4 climbing ropes, and they came up to the top of the cliff and yelled down to us to head west. And so the whole company, what was left of the company, went down and climbed the ropes, and we were on top of the cliffs at 7:30 in the morning. So technically we were the first unit to get on top of the cliffs on D-Day.
The thing that disturbed me the most was there were so many American soldiers in the water drowned. You see what happened? The Germans had put in piling and wired it all along in different areas out into deep water. And the infantry got off in water up to their chest and walked into these barbed wire, got tangled up, couldn't get their packs off, and they drowned. So there was a number of them in the water. And that was what really shook me up, because I figured, this is not good.
I got to England with my crew in the latter part of July 1944. The Silver Star was awarded to me because of my efforts to protect the squadron. We were coming down the bomb run, about halfway down, I think, and my plane suffered a direct hit with the German 88, and it hit and penetrated the plane just beneath and behind the pilot's seat. And this started a tremendous fire. I decided what I have to do is protect the squadron, because when that ship blows up, it just blows scrap metal all over the sky. So the thing to do, the fastest way out of that formation, was to put it in a dive. And I shoved that control column all the way forward and put that ship into a steep dive. And at that point, I passed out.
After 34 days in Normandy, I was sent, we all, the whole division, went back to England. We had probably, our casualties were undoubtedly about 60% either dead or wounded.
I don't think they'd have an invasion like that today. I don't think and it's not necessary. I hope we never have to, ever again.
We had a tough unit. They were all volunteers, and they kept telling us how tough we were, so finally, after a while, you get to believing it. And then you find out that you're not as tough as you thought you were.
Many people have said to me over the years, well, were you frightened? I said, no, I wasn't frightened. I was scared to death. That's what I was. I didn't think I'd live.
And we were both lucky that, because luck plays a big, big part of it.
I'm 92, and I think about it all the time, and I just keep saying to myself, I don't know how I got through all this.
It was just something that you got to do it. The good Lord was with me.